Give us free. Give us free.
Your Honor, please instruct the defendant that he cannot disrupt these proceedings with such outcry.
Give us free. Give us free.
If we are to have any semblance of order,
Give us
peace, unity, and welcome my conscious and unconscious family and friends. This is the all-new Black Village Community Podcast, and I am truly your host of the show, JC, aka Afro Black, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut, without any fear, as I use my mic as a spear to chucker you with liberated truth. I am your host and your native soldier in the struggle. My purpose and mission for this show is first to enlighten, inform, and engage. And I want to engage with all who claim to know the truth. All truth seekers and my native family, I welcome you. This show is dedicated to all our indigenous native ancestors and to all those who've carried the mantle of truth, and to every person with the ability to throw off the chains of comfortable habit and unwarranted assumption and move in a new, liberated direction that is guided by truth and observational evidence, no matter where that direction may lead you. My main objective and purpose here is freedom, mind, soul, and spirit. That being said, welcome to the Black Village Community Podcast, and much love from our great universal goddess and mother of all, living here and above.
DC in the house.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American.
You go to a reservation, you see poverty, you see churches, and you see liquor stores. When you go to any hood, you see poverty, you see churches, and you see liquor stores. So what make you think you're not on a reservation? Right? So all these achievements that we ascribe to African Americans, these achievements by Native Americans who had to take on an identity of being African American because they was hanging us.
This means, in the case of an American Negro, it comes as a great shock to discover that Gary Cooper killing off the Indians when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians were you, that the Indians were you. That the Indians were you. That the Indians.
But you think they was hanging people because they was Africans. Africans just want to go home. Nigga from here want to take his shit over. But you think they was hanging people because they was Africans. Africans just want to go home. Nigga from here want to take his shit over, want to take his shit over.
Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. The rock was landed on us. The rock was landed on us. The rock was landed on us.
Freedom, 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 freedom. This is how we ride and roll. Soldier for life for show.
Hey, people. This is JC aka Afro Black. Hey. This is JC aka Afro Black. And if you've chimed in, you've tuned in to the Black Village Round Table Talks. Again, this is JC aka Afro Black. I am your host, and I am here dropping nothing but the raw and uncut here on the Black Village Round Table Talks. And I am not here alone. I got a brother who I've been trying to get with for the longest. I've been trying to bring him to my platform, and he's finally here with us today. I am so glad to introduce brother, friend. I also consider him family. If he ever come to Cali, he's family. He can come to me and chill with my family in my home. Me casa, his casa. If he ever come to Cali, brother Kuramiro Ahu. All right, can you talk to and holler at the people, my brother?
Hey, what's up, JC? Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. And sorry for the delay, but I'm glad I'm here now. And just shout out to everybody tuned in. Much love and respect.
Man, I am just elated that you are here, my brother. I'm hoping everything is sounding clear on my end. You can hear me nice and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. And if anybody want to join us, you can tune in, you can chime in. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a bit of your indigenous conscious time. The number is 727-731-3674. Again, that is 727-731-3674. And the topic today is a continuation of last week's topic. That topic is, I want everybody, if anybody paid attention to last week's, they know what's going on. The topic is, and I quote, don't wonder when you know why. We know why some Negroes cray and can't unify. Again, the topic is, don't wonder when you know why. We know why some Negroes cray and can't unify. And the reason why I pose the topic that way is because what I'm really dealing with and what I'm really talking about and what I really want my brother here to communicate with me on and share with me on is mental illness in the so-called Black American community. I said mental illness, which is causing social behavioral disorder. This is the reason why we can't unify as an American Aboriginal community like we want to. You got so many brothers and sisters out there with platforms. You got so many brothers and sisters out there who are out there trying to wake up the Indians. They're trying to wake up the Aboriginal Indians. But you know what? The problem is, and I'm going to tell you what the deep-seated issue is this assimilated, cultivated, and fostered mental illness, which is called social disorder, causing us not being able to communicate with each other because we take it personal, because some of us have social communicators disorders in the essence that we don't know how to communicate. Some of us don't even care to communicate, and some of us don't even care to communicate the right way. That contributes to a social communicative disorder. Do you hear me, my brother? Go ahead, brother Kurma. You got anything you want to add to this? And I got some things, I got some videos, and I got some more information I want to share that contributes to what I'm talking about, including the word wetico. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that word, brother Kurma. Wetico. Have you heard that Algonquin word?
I think I have.
Well, let me show something right quick on the stream. That word is important because it contributes to this discussion. The term wetico, okay, was a term that our indigenous ancestors used to call European white folks when they came over here, when they lied to us and showed that they had a behavior that they could not be trusted, and because they constantly did things that was a manipulative or lying way, they coined the term wetico. Now, and I got some information I want to show that's going to speak to this. Matter of fact, I got an audio cast that we all can listen to where a sister that breaks down the definition and what it means as far as the term. Now, there's a psychological, or for I might say a medical definition for the term wetico. I say a Eurocentric definition, but then you got the elders, the indigenous elders who give, and Jack Forbes have documented what the elders wrote down and what they said wetico meant as far as what the indigenous meant, what they literally meant by the term wetico. And what does this have to do with us? Well, we've been living in a country, we've been living under a system, we've been living under a regime that has fostered behaviors and normalized behaviors that contribute to social disorder. Would you agree, my brother?
Yes, definitely.
And I know this might be a little bit different platform than what you used to doing, brother, but I truly believe, I truly believe that social disorder has everything to do with what's going on. I mean, even though the Great Spirit is calling our people together, I hear the voice. I mean, through your videos, brother Kuramiro, through your videos that you put, I hear the voice of the Great Spirit calling her people together. Do you feel me? But I do see the disorder in the community. Do you see it?
Oh yeah, I feel it.
Well,
I experience it. I feel it. I see it. Not just in the YouTube community, but all over.
What do you know about, and what have you heard about wetico?
Well, you probably know more than me. I've heard the term before, though. I do want to say that there's people out there listening, and not all Europeans were white. Right away. I just want to
real talk,
especially in the beginning parts of colonization.
Real talk, and that's another thing that I believe that a lot of us got to get used to. And I'm speaking even from myself, when we're so used to being accustomed to putting a color to the term Eurocentric. When you talk about Eurocentric identity or even Eurocentric philosophy or Eurocentric ideology, we're so used to applying a color fashion to it. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so I totally agree. So when I'm talking about Europeans, I have to remind myself not to apply the term white to it. I agree. So I appreciate you bringing that up, brother.
Yeah, no problem. It's not to correct you, actually. It's just, because I know you know.
I appreciate that. Let me show this. I got something I want to show on the screen, though, that talks about wetico. So let me put this up right quick. Okay, so now this is just a little definition, some on the term. Now, wetico is an Algonquin word, and as he says here, the term it means the shortest definition that you can say, a mind virus. It says, which Native Americans have called wetico, covertly operates through the unconscious blind spot in the human psyche, rendering the people oblivious to their own madness and compelling them to act against their own best interests. Wetico, now this is when I did some research on it, my terms that I came to, wetico affects the psyche and soul of a person where their sole and main purpose always is self, never anyone else, just self, always on a narcissistic perspective. They can't see anything other than their own objective and purpose that benefits their own purpose only, which is always justified by their own mind. Now, this is just bringing it down to a basic logical definition. Now, I want to play a video cast where a sister talks about it and gives some good information on it. Here it is right here. Okay, give me a minute, please. Put this up. I want to play this video right quick. And this video speaks to a little bit. She's talking about what the indigenous people shared about as far as wetico. Let me play this right quick, and then we can come back and we can comment on this video. Okay.
Wetico entities are cannibalistic, predatory, soulless, selfish, and hostile, a cancer of the soul, a shapeshifter. How set proportions.
Telling you that this thing is just people that are responsible way back when. And I actually to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a very, very interesting topic. On the screen there, you see a so-called white man, and you see some Native Americans. And I'm going to be talking about why the Native Americans said that white people had wetico. Okay. Now, of course, we're talking about way back when, right? This is what they were saying way back when. And I actually learned this recently from a white man. I was looking at a documentary, as I mentioned in a previous video. And in this video, he was talking about how certain things that are taking place in the world right now are so mind-blowing that it's unbelievable. And he was saying that the people who are responsible for it, now this is a white guy saying all of this, y'all. It's not me, right? It's a white guy saying all this. He was saying the people that are responsible were once called or stated to have a disease called wetico by the Native Americans. And so he went into great detail about why they said that they believed that white people at that time had a disease called wetico. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you some further information, and even the information I'm sharing you, the person who talked about this, they actually said they haven't even touched the surface of the depths of this disease called wetico, although they did cover quite a bit, right? So if they haven't touched the surface, they're telling you that this thing is just deep-seated and it is tripped out evil. So let me go ahead and share this, and I will definitely be back with some additional words on this topic of why the Native Americans stated or said that so-called white people had a disease called wetico. Here we go.
There is a contagious psychospiritual disease of the soul, a parasite of the mind, that is currently being acted out en masse on the world stage via a collective psychosis of titanic proportions. This mind virus, which Native Americans have called wetico, covertly operates through the unconscious blind spots in the human psyche, rendering people oblivious to their own madness and compelling them to act against their own best interests. Here is more information on wetico. Is there an epidemic of broken, undeveloped frontal lobes, of dysfunctional, maladjusted, deteriorating, and infected amygdalas? Narcissism and cluster B psychopathy run rampant in our culture, feeding on those who still have that innate ability to feel empathy and compassion, who possess a real soul and a kind spirit. Those dark and toxic parasitic wetico entities are cannibalistic, predatory, soulless, selfish, and hostile, a cancer of the soul, a shapeshifter. How sad. Just as viruses or malware infect a computer and program it to self-destruct, wetico programs the human biocomputer to think and behave in self-destructive ways. Covertly operating through the unconscious blind spots in the human psyche, wetico renders people oblivious to their own madness, compelling them to act against their own best interests. People under its thrall can, like someone in the throes of an addiction, or in a state of trauma, unwittingly create the very problem they are trying to resolve, clinging desperately to the thing that is torturing and destroying them. People taken over by wetico are suffering from an autoimmune disease of the psyche. In autoimmune deficiency syndrome, the immune system of the organism perversely attacks the very life it is trying to protect. In trying to live, it destroys life, ultimately destroying even itself. In the same way, once wetico has insinuated itself into a living entity, it acts like a perverted antibody, treating the wholesome parts of the system as cancerous tumors to be exterminated. This problem is being collectively acted out on the world stage. Humans are destroying the biosphere of the planet upon which we all depend for our survival. Wetico is at the bottom of the seemingly never-ending destruction we are wreaking on this biosphere. One example is the destruction of the Amazonian rainforest, the lung.
Okay, I didn't want to get too deep into this video as much as I want to point out something. I want to point out something I think a lot of people are not paying attention to, including the fact that we got, let me put this back over here. Okay, including the fact that when you look at what's being said about what you just heard so far about wetico, basically a disease or a virus of the psyche, making an individual practically narcissistic and selfish, self-centered, only paying attention, only focusing on their own personal selfish objective, even at the means of hurting other people. No empathy, no compassion. And we can see this today. We can definitely see this today in the world. And this contributes to the social disorder in the so-called Black American community. We've been living under a regime, under a civilization, under a cultivation of the mind, an indoctrination of the mind that branches through politics, history, the educational system, and even in everyday life. Almost like what you see in the movie called The Matrix. Are you there, my brother?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? What you thought? And this is contributing to me to the social disorder in the so-called Black community. We're not looking to the principles that our ancestors taught, like the Migos say, walk it like you talk it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a deep, if the indigenous people had something like that and, and they developed a word for it and everything based on their experience with certain individuals, then you got to really listen to what they're saying. But the only thing is, because I know based on what you read earlier, the definition and everything, I didn't see anything that that said it was only for pale-skinned people. And so what I'm trying to say and what I want to add is that all those characteristics, all those negative traits and everything, that can be anybody, no matter if they're black, white.
Of course. I mean, of course. And that's my point. My point is this. Listen, this is my point, my brother. Okay. Mm-hmm. We live in a country that plays superhero to the world. We live in a country and we live under a regime. And you heard what they said when they were explaining wetico, they said the world stage. Well, only people with power can deal with the world stage. You feel me? Only people with power has the influence of the world stage. So my point being is that the people who have cultivated wetico, the people who have perpetrated wetico and amplified wetico, is the very people who cultivated this civilization and the system in which we're living under and which we're fighting against right now, to explain and let people realize they need to wake up that culture is the key.
Yeah, I think knowing thyself helps out understanding. When we stop pointing fingers at certain things and we start to see like, okay, this could be me. This could be, you know, if I start doing negative things, if I start being egotistic or greedy, and you know, just that, I picture a lot of different people when I heard that definition. You know what
exactly,
I mean?
Exactly. I mean, last week when I was talking about this, the definition, when I was basically the podcast topic, which is, don't wonder why when you know why. We know why some Negroes are Crae and Cat Unified. Talking about the cultivation and the mindset of wetico. It has gotten into the so-called black community. We got so-called black Negroes operating in the mindset of a wetico. A wetico. Basically, what's a wetico? Totally selfish, totally don't care about nothing else but their own selfish objective, and not even realizing what they're doing to their own selves. Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Last week I even used my own self as an example. In my family, there are people in my family that are feeding on negativity, feeding on discourse, feeding on confusion, feeding on distrust, and then they amplify it and they spread it in the family. And as they see people in the family fight and bicker, they kick back and they just laugh and they joke about it like it's funny. So basically what I'm saying is that you got a lot of Negroes in the ghetto, in the hood, in Compton, in Los Angeles, in Detroit, in New York, in Philly, in the hood, and their families are cultivating negativity. The wetico that was originally designated to Europeans has now been cultivated throughout the Americas. Do you feel me?
Yeah, European would be a better term. Yeah.
What would be a better term?
Yeah, European, you know.
Yes.
Because that's basically who they were referring to, the Europeans, whether they were white or black or whatever, you know.
Real talk. It doesn't matter what your color is. It doesn't matter if you're brown, yellow, white, or the blackest of night. It doesn't matter.
Because I do know many of the Sephardic Jews, many of the Moors, the Huguenots, many of these people, you know, they did for their own, you know, whether they were hurting other people, the local people, whether they were moving on or relocated.
They were hurting the local people.
Yeah,
they were hurting.
That's exactly what I mean. And so, you know, it makes sense that they would say that about Europeans in general. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not just the fact that they would say this about Europeans. They looked at and they saw what the Europeans were actually doing to them and doing to the land. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, whenever you suppress another people, I said literally suppress another people from being who they are, then you take who they are and give it to another people, basically like treating everybody like they're chess pieces on a chessboard. You feel me?
Yeah.
You're gonna, you know, the ancients understood the balance of life. The ancients understood that what you put out there is what you get back. The ancients understood that you have to balance life, and that the bad that you do, you only can balance it out by doing good. And so when they saw that the Europeans were lying, killing, raping, stealing, manipulating, you feel me? Going back on treaties that they had with the indigenous people, this is where the term wetico was applied to them. But today, wetico is applied to many people because many people are operating under the guise and under the mindset of a wetico type of behavior. Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Whenever you're sowing negativity in your own family, whenever you're sowing negativity between your brothers and your sisters, whenever you don't care about the truth that can benefit everyone, see, the truth that can benefit everyone, when you don't care about the truth that can benefit everyone, you're operating in the mindset and in the guise of a wetico. Do you feel me?
Yeah, truth has no color.
Real talk.
And it's not personal.
For number one, the colonization here in America was not about color.
Yep.
It was about power. It was about controlling the resources. It was about another people coming over here, and those people who came over here, no, not all of them was white. Many of them, like you said, when they first came over here, they didn't come over here looking like white folks. They came over here with their dark-skinned brothers and sisters, and specifically brothers. I mean, obviously you want to make sure you want people to be clear about when you talk about who fostered what. It wasn't about the color, it was about the people, and the people are tied, those who are tied to their localities, regardless if you're a European, American Indian, South, doesn't matter. It depends on where your culture, what landmass you're from. That's what I'm talking about. So brothers and sisters need to wake up and be aware not to operate in the mindset of a wetico. There's a lot of brothers and sisters don't even realize that they're cultivating principles that are harmful and destructive to their own family and to themselves. Being selfish, not caring about who you're doing for, but only doing for yourself. Not caring about doing for the family. You say you care for the family, but the end means is really about yourself. That's what narcissism is. Narcissism is when you make it really about what you're about. You're not really about the family. You're not really about the community. You're not really about the neighborhood. You're not really about bringing people together. You're really about manipulating everybody under your own guise and your own power. That's narcissism, and that's wetico. And that's what I'm talking about. I want people to wake up and realize for us to come together, we got to first see our own social dysfunction and our own self. When I was talking about wetico, I'm not using this as a guise to say, okay, all white folks have done this. What I'm saying is that anybody who's operating in wetico, anybody who don't care about, and I blame it on the Europeans, because the Europeans came over here with their system that was not a system that was made for everybody. They came over here with their own plans that was really plans that was built and that was funded, that was basically to support their own people, not to support everyone. You got to realize and operate and tell the truth about the situation when you come to talking about the responsibility of where it came from, because the Indians did not operate in wetico. At least our ancestors, they were aware of it, because if they weren't aware of it, they wouldn't have been able to apply it to the people that they applied it to from the very beginning. But today we are operating in it and we don't even realize it because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about social dysfunction from the perspective of the original Aboriginal people. I didn't even know that the Indians even had a word for it until I did research on it. Do you feel me?
Yeah. So what I was saying earlier about they had to have very strong reason to make it into like name it like a disease, right? Like they're saying it has to be something. They were trying to figure out how people could be so evil, right? How can you not care? How can you? But it goes deep. It's way back. This is ancestral. It's a spiritual thing.
Well, the thing about it though, have the behavior. See, today, I was telling my wife, I've been married for 22 years. I've been married to the same beautiful clan queen for 22 years. And me and my queen was talking about my queen, she's half European and she's half Cherokee. So her dad's Cherokee, her mother's European, of European descent. And me and my queen was talking, and she even admitted, just looking at her European side of her family, she see a disconnection that you don't see originally amongst indigenous people. I said originally amongst indigenous people, okay? Today, we got many people operating in that mindset. What mindset? I said the wetico mindset. What's the wetico? selfishness, a disease of the psyche. When you can't see what you need, what you're doing is affecting everyone, regardless if it's positive or negative. You can't see that it's affecting everyone. And from the wetico perspective, it's negativity, negative energy. It's not positive energy whatsoever. You feel me? So the question is placing the blame where it belongs. Well, today the blame belongs, once you come into the knowledge of the truth, the blame is on you once you come into the knowledge of the truth. If you're not in the knowledge of the truth, of awareness, of self-awareness, cultural awareness, then you know what? The blame is on the system that's continuing the same program. Do you feel me? If I'm wrong, somebody tell me and tell me how. I'm here to learn. Somebody tell me. So I got an article by Jack Forbes I wanted to show, where Jack Forbes is talking about, let me go to it right quick. Okay. Well, this is not Jack Forbes. Let me go to Jack Forbes. All right, there we go right there. It's just an article written by brother Jack Forbes. Jack Forbes is a Native American historian, very well known. He's written a lot of books. And let me read this right quick. Let me make it a little bit bigger so I make sure everybody can see it. All right. Wetico, the virus of selfishness according to Native Americans. I hope you don't feel like I'm blaming somebody who shouldn't be blamed. I believe if the shoe fit, wear it. Brother Kuramiro, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, like if people are getting offended or anything, it's maybe they're feeling guilty of something. You know, I don't know why they would get offended of this information.
This is right here. This passage right here was written by Jack Forbes. He's a Native American historian, very well known. He's written a lot of articles, a lot of books. Wetico, human selfishness, and Carl Jung's concept of the shadow. Jack Forbes is a historian who explained something very interesting in his book, Columbus and Other Cannibals. When indigenous communities came into contact with the first European pilgrims, the Native Americans said they were infected by wetico. It was a tribe of the Crae in Canada who used this concept for the first time. However, the Ojibwa, for example, already were using the well-known term Wendigo.
Yeah,
that's
one.
The case,
that's the one. Yeah, that's the way I know it. The Wendigo. That's what I thought you were talking about from the beginning. And brother, A New Breed has some great videos on the Wendigo myths of the Native Americans, actually.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you got people who got different concepts on a Wendigo, and I'm saying that because you got some that says, well, a Wendigo is a shaman, an indigenous shaman who converted over and became this thing for whatever reason, which is like a form of a skinwalker. And you got some that says, oh, a skinwalker and a Wendigo is not the same thing. Well, this right here to me is bringing more context to the word and how Europeans confused the word. A skinwalker is not a Wendigo, and a Wendigo is not a skinwalker. A Wendigo is a wetico, a word for a person who is psychologically messed up. You feel me? So a skinwalker is an indigenous person who does the transformation. Okay, so you got some people who just got the we go on, but we read people's works and we got to filter this stuff and we got to righteously put it in his perspective where it belongs. But let me finish reading this right here. Jack Forbes is a historian who explains something very interesting in his book, Columbus and the Other Cannibals. When indigenous communities came into contact with the first European pilgrims, the Native Americans said they were infected by wetico. It was a tribe of the Crae in Canada who used this concept for the first time. However, the Ojibwa, for example, already were using the well-known term Wendigo, which is the same thing as wetico. However, whatever the case, the mental concept they had of the white or civilized man, like you say, dodge that hijack when it comes to white, because the first people who came over here, not all of them, if not the original people who they came into contact with, were not of the color skin that we think of white people. No, they weren't. They looked like what we call black folks today. Real talk. civilized man was that of an individual affected by the virus of selfishness. The virus led them to desire the forces of nature and its resources as their own. This is the reason why they saw Europeans as wetico, because they saw how the Europeans was treating the land as their own when it wasn't theirs. Indigenous people never saw the land as their own. They saw it as a gift of the Great Spirit Mother, or the Earth Mother, who gave it to us to live on and take care of. But look, they saw the virus led them to desire the forces of nature and its resources as their own. In turn, Paul Levy explains that this idea is the very same one Carl Jung used to explain the concept of shadow. The shadow is the architect of the unconscious that we all share. Thus, common things like jealousy, greed, thirst for power, and selfishness are actually products of our collective unconscious. See, this is another Eurocentric, this is another European's mind way of trying to explain it. See, this is not our ancestors' way of explaining it. Our ancestors just plainly said it was a sickness of the mind. You feel me? Okay, let me go on down here. How to kill the virus of selfishness. You can eliminate the virus of selfishness from your life. One way is by getting to know what. No, forget all that. I'm not going to go into all that. Just to point out, I just want to point out what Jack Forbes commented on in his book called Columbus and the Other Cannibals, and he talked about, and he says it was our ancestors who labeled them wetico. I'm not going to go into some other Europeans' concept of what he think the Europeans were saying. That's not the point of me wanting to point this out. Okay. Also, I want to point it out. Here's another good explanation for wetico right here by who is somebody I'm hearing in the background. Do I see? Is that you, brother?
No, it's not me.
Let me see. Is there somebody else out here in the backdrop? Is there somebody else joining us here on the Black Village?
So now I got a new word for people. Thanks, man. Where to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, a new word for people, not a new word for anyone. Because the Eurocentric.
Just look at this right here. It says a spirit of greed, excess, and selfish consumption. Right, that's a lot of people I know.
Real talk. A spirit of greed, excess, and selfish consumption. We draw primarily on specific North American First Nation concepts, but similar logic can be found in many indigenous cultures around the world. Wetico is an Algonquin word. Okay, we know all that. We might think of it as thought form of me. That is driven by greed, excess, selfishness, consumption. Ojibwa, in its Wendigo, or in Powhatan, it is wetico or wetico. It deludes its host into believing that cannibalizing the life force of others. My good, you hear that? It said it deludes its host into believing that cannibalizing the life force of others. Mm-hmm. Others in the broad sense, including animals, Gaia life energy, and plants, in order to amass advantage for oneself in logic, health, and even moral upstanding in the way of life. Wow. Basically just straight all about taking control, taking power, taking control. It makes you a total self-obsessive, self-control, power-hungry person.
It's like it goes against creation. That's why he said it destroys itself eventually.
Real talk. It goes against creation. It goes against the laws of nature. The laws of nature is about giving, producing good, producing truth, producing a positive outcome.
I understand the hate now. Wetico.
Wow, it sounds like to me you're gonna be pondering this for a minute. It sounds like it's speaking to you, my brother. So my whole point of talking about, let me go back to this right here. Excuse me. Okay, going back to this right here again. My point is for us as a people, so-called brothers and sisters out there, and all my American Aboriginal brothers and sisters who are self-aware. We got to be aware to operate in the true spirit of our ancestors. If we're gonna walk and talk it, we're gonna walk like the Migos say, walk it like you talk it. If we're gonna walk it like we talk it, then we gotta live by the principles of our people. Let me show some principles. I pulled up some principles. Let me go find my principles again. Now, wait a minute. Going back over here. I have found some principles called the 12 principles of the Woodland Aborigines. Principles of respecting life. Where's it at? Here we go, right here. I'm not sure if you ever heard of these principles, brother Camille. Let me show you this right quick. Can you see that? It should be up in a minute. Okay, there it is right there. American Aboriginal Code of Conduct. There it is. It's going to pop up in just a minute. Give me a minute. There you go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, these are principles that I found out that Aboriginal Indians, like the Cherokee Iroquois, they live by these principles and they practice these. These are principles that's been handed down, and actually indigenous people live by every day. It was an everyday way of living at one time. You feel me? But if you look at some, I'm like, well, it says respect. Let's just look at the term respect. Respect means to feel or show honor or esteem for someone or something. Showing respect is a basic law of life. Treat every person from the tiniest child to the oldest elder with respect at all times. Special respect should be given to elders, parents, teachers, and community leaders. No person should be made to feel put down by you. Avoid hurting others as you would avoid deadly poison. See, if we actually lived by this, the Aboriginal,
Well, I just want to point out something. I have an echo on the wrong.
Go ahead.
I hear myself twice.
Oh,
sorry.
You have an echo?
Yeah, I got a headset. But what I'm trying to say is, you're basically pointing out that something that doesn't really get mentioned a lot in the community. Everybody, wanting to attack other people, for what they look like and everything, and they want to be more indigenous than the other person when they don't really follow any of these code of conduct, or as we say, keeping the code. They don't keep the code. You get what I'm saying? So, in this way, and also culturally, like, they don't understand why the ceremonies, what's the origin of ceremonies and traditions.
Real talk. Real talk. Right. The whole point of me doing this podcast right now is talking about the social disorder amongst us as American Aborigines. I've been looking at your platform for a very long time, Dane Calloway's platform for a very long time, and all the new platforms that's come up, Aboriginal Power, Aboriginal TV, Tasha X, Phoenix Moon, all the different platforms out there. Atsila Yana's clan sister, Atsila Yana. All the different platforms out there, and definitely, respectively, brother Kuramiro Ahu. Let me make sure I'm saying your name right. Kuramio Ahu, his platform, which has been very much educative to me. The problem I'm seeing is that a lot of so-called, and I'm talking about Negroes, Aboriginal Negroes, have a social disorder. Don't know how to love. Don't know how to be positive to one another. Don't know how to be supportive to one another. Always attacking one another. We gotta stop. We gotta stop it. Go ahead.
Yeah, wetico.
There you go.
Hey,
wetico. It's wetico.
So I got an echo. I guess everybody can hear that. Okay, it's gone a little bit.
Oh, it's not being. That's not. I'm not hearing it on my end, so it's not being shown on. It's not on the show.
Oh, it's when you're on mute. Actually, were you muted just now?
No, I wasn't. But okay. No, I'm not muted.
Make sure you don't have two audios on.
Okay. So is it fine now?
Yeah, I think it's better now. Well, yeah.
You're right. They're operating these brothers who don't care about unity, who don't care about true unity. They want to constantly make Indians look only dark skinned. When the original American Aborigines from Central America to North America to South America, We were from complexions from light skin to light brown to dark brown to caramel brown to blackish brown. We were all different complexions. We got to stop looking at color and looking at culture as the most important thing for us to be following and walking after. What do you have to say about that, my bro?
Yeah, I think this code of conduct thing is very important. Where exactly did you get this from, so people can know?
I found this on a indigenous believe it was a Cherokee website. Okay. Let me finish reading. Check it out though, because the respect one now, there's 12 principles, right? But the respect one is the longest one. If you look at it, I'm going down the list right now. Look at it. The respect is the respect. Look at the respect. Look how it focuses on respect though. See that?
Yeah.
It's long. So let me finish reading the respect. The respect one I believe is, and I'm gonna say it, I believe that they focused on that. I mean, the same reason why our indigenous ancestors came up with the talking stick. Obviously, Indians had a problem talking in order. Do you feel me? For them to come up with the concept of the talking stick, obviously Indians had a problem communicating. You feel me?
That makes sense. That's why there's rules for something.
Exactly. And this is the reason why we got to bring back the principles back into the indigenous family.
Yeah, so a lot of us act out in the negative nature, and that's just a different topic basically. But once we realize our negatives, so stop pointing fingers at everybody, then we can be a better person too.
Exactly. So instead of me reading through all this, I mean, I'll just read a little bit more, and I'm gonna finish this up. And I know I gotta wrap this up. But let me finish this right. Let me finish reading a little bit of this right here. I'm going to the third one. It says the second one I was reading, which is respect. It says to treat every person from the tiniest child to the oldest elder with respect at all times. Okay, respect. And then it breaks down what respect is. To special respect is given to elders, parents, teachers, and community leaders. Okay, goes down to here. Touch nothing that belongs to someone else. All breaking down respect. Respect the privacy of everyone. Okay, never walk between people that are conversing. These are old school respect. Old school respect. You feel me?
Yeah.
Old school respect. Never interrupt people who are conversing. Speak in soft voice. Something I gotta learn. See, there's one thing I say about you, brother. You do talk with a soft voice. Your voice makes people want to listen to you, brother Kuramiro. You have a voice that makes people want to listen to you. And that's because you don't have it's like your voice don't sound demanding. I got a demanding voice.
Yeah, it comes out when it has to.
You see, it says speaking a soft voice, especially when you are in the presence of elders, strangers, or others to whom special respect is due. Let me go on. Let me just drop on down because that's a long list about respect. Then it goes down to the third one. Once a council has decided something in unity, respect demands that no one speaks secretly against what has been decided. Indians had it all covered, people. This is the 12 principles of daily living for Aboriginal brothers and sisters of the Woodland Aboriginal tribe. The 12 principles. I got this in the village in Facebook. You can go check it out. I got it hanging up in there. Anybody can go into the Black Village on Facebook and you can read these 12 principles. I keep them there for people to read. Okay. So let me wrap this up. Again, the whole point of me doing this podcast, don't wonder when you know why. We know why some Negroes Crae, and can't unify. The reason why, because a lot of Negroes, their psyche, their soul have been contaminated with wetico. They have been contaminated with wetico.
I will add that a lot of them had it originally in their that came out of their nature.
You would say a lot of them already had it already. It was like part of
if they're saying it's a disease thing or something that the Europeans brought or had kind of created or a lot of these Europeans were black folks, so that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. Now,
so that's what I'm saying.
But when you say black folks, okay, that's not telling me where they came from.
No.
See, to me, it's important to know where these people came from. Do you feel me?
Yeah. So Ireland, Germany, Spain, Portugal.
Yeah, because from some of the sources that I read, the black folks here in North, South, and Central America, they weren't like that.
Well, I'm sure there was bad people over here too.
Well, see, we can say that. But to substantiate that,
we had wars. We had wars way before they got here, and that's why they took advantage.
Yeah, but the type of wars that we had over here were not wars where we were blandly killing each other. A lot of the Indians and the neighbors that didn't get along, they would literally just have fights, and the person who lost, they would let go.
Yeah, they wouldn't destroy themselves. Like they're not gonna get rid of their food sources and stuff to get rid of that's almost like very unintelligent. Right?
See, my point being is that our people did not operate like savages prior to European conquest. That's my point. Our people did not operate, and those who did operate like savages were isolated by all the other tribes, and they were outcasts. You know that as well as I did, if you know any of the things that you've read. Real talk? That's not real talk?
Yeah, I guess you could determine what a savage is, and because everybody has what's savage? Savage?
I only know one definition for savage.
Because America's a true old world. A lot of savage things happen here.
Of course, a lot of savage things happen here. But what we want to talk about, what's most important is how prevalent was the savagery. Was it amongst all the tribes or just some of the tribes? Was it a common thing, like a normality? Or was the savages treated like outcasts and they were isolated so all the tribes knew who they were? Last time I read, those who were cannibals, and there weren't very many cannibals here in North America prior to Europeans coming here, but those who were cannibals were treated like outcasts. All the tribes knew who they were.
Yeah, no, I mean that doesn't have to necessarily just be cannibal stuff. Like let's say taking over.
No, but see, I'm using that as an example. I'm using it as an example to point out that the tribes did not tolerate behavior that hurt or corrupted the people. That's my point.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. Certain definitely more tribes than others. There were tribes
and
that
so. Well, yeah, but see, I'm not sure what angle, Brother Kermel, you come from, but I'm not the type of person that believes in blaming a person. I believe that put the shoe on the foot who can fit it.
There's only, in a spiritual sense, there was only one reason, they got here and were allowed to come here, and it's because we fell off as a people, man, and.
You get no argument from me. We get no argument from me on there.
And yeah, they came with their savagery. They were really savage, like in the way unintelligent was savage. But what I was trying to say is, like, if you invade a whole town, right? You're a tribe from here, and you go murder the whole town, cut off everybody's head, take the women. I mean, that's pretty savage. You had your reasons, though. But what I'm trying to say, not everybody here was keeping the code either.
That might be true,
no,
but
that doesn't.
And it doesn't justify what another people did, though.
Yeah, it doesn't. But it does. What I'm saying is, we gotta, like you said, we gotta look into, get specific, and look at to see who was doing what and see why and what.
Real talk, exactly. And one thing you got me on that I really agree with you on is realizing that. The Europeans who came here, it had nothing to do with color. It was about where they came, where they came from, and who came over here, and who were they.
Yeah, and keeping on the point that we're talking about. You said, tell me where they're from. A lot of American Indians people from here will let you know, or will say, well, these Europeans were originally from America.
True that.
So it goes back to, it's not about the location they're coming from. You get what I'm saying? Savagery can exist. People are evil. People are people. Water doesn't separate that.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you have many of the tribes who had a natural way of living that, regardless of each and every individual that might have been, like I say, you had some American Indians that obviously did not have their people's best interest in mind. Mm-hmm. You got some of the same people who are called Boules today. They can trace their bloodline all the way to the original Aboriginal people. They know who they are. And I understand that a lot of those people were traitors. They didn't care. They embraced and accepted European mindset. But that does not justify the fact that you have many European nations. For the most part, they operated under a traditional way of living that was beneficial to the people and to the land. Do you feel me?
Yeah, way to go. I get it.
No, the wetico were those who were the Boules and those who sold out their people. That's the wetico. Those Indians who sold their people out and who were traitors to their people. That's
I mean in general. I don't mean Indians. I'm not talking about Indians. I mean in general. I get it.
Yeah, but see, the wetico is not
a greedy, selfless. I saw the definition you showed.
Yeah, but see, wetico applies to an individual. Wetico applies to an individual.
Exactly.
Everybody's not walking in wetico.
Exactly. That's my whole point right there. So not all Europeans were wetico either.
Well, you know what? The ones who came over, here and took my people's land and created a civilization on top of the backs and bloods and bones of my ancestors, they were wetico.
Yeah, a lot of them were.
All of them were, as far as I'm concerned.
I wouldn't say all of them.
You can't tell me you can't tell me of people who come over here and savagely rape, maim, lie, manipulate, take a people's culture.
You're saying all Europeans did that?
I'm saying the ones who did it, and it was more of them than the.
That's what I said. Yeah.
It was more.
That's
it
what
was
I said
more.
last.
Let me answer you. It was more of them who did than those who didn't.
Okay, but not all of them.
Well, I'm talking about the ones who did. It was more of those who did.
And I agree with you.
You got a mob. Wait a minute. You got a mob. Wait a minute. You got a mob of people who finna lynch a person. You got a mob of people who finna lynch an Indian, an Aborigine. Out of that mob, you got 5 people who don't participate. That does not negate the 95 people who did it.
I got so many genealogical stories of Europeans coming, meeting an Indian woman, never doing anything abusive. They're, just having a normal life, having babies with her.
Yeah, but they need to stand up against their ancestors who are perpetuating the Eurocentric indoctrination of not caring.
Okay, they should have, yeah.
But they don't. Many of them don't.
So you're blaming a whole continent. That's what I'm saying.
No, this is what I'm saying. If you see a person stealing in somebody's house and you watch them break into that house and you just sit there and you watch and you don't say nothing, you don't do nothing. Your neighbors come home from vacation the following week and they realize their home has been broken into and everything is taken. But your neighbor across the street watched them break into the house, didn't call the police, didn't say nothing, didn't do nothing, but sat there and watched the whole thing. I'm saying that you're just as much as a perpetrator and a contributor if you do nothing, but you saw and you know everything.
I know, but then we're just talking about stuff about, we're not there.
I know exactly what we're talking about.
There's specifics, though. That's what I'm saying. There's specifics.
We are being specific. Let me be specific so you can understand.
I know. I understand the manifest destiny. I understand all the conquest.
I'm not talking about manifest destiny. I'm not talking about it. We're talking about where to go. We're talking about people who have social disorders due to a system that have contributed to that disorder, that social disorder in the so-called Black American, so-called African American, really in all reality, American Aboriginal community had contributed to the. And I want you to know that when it comes to we're so-called 15% of the population, but yet we're more than half the population in the industrialized prison complex. And I want you to know that there are more of our people with mental disabilities incarcerated in prisons that the same people who our ancestors called wetico, who have cultivated this system of the industrialized prison complex and contributing to the mental breakdown by throwing them in prisons and throwing away the key and not giving them what they need. You feel me? Not giving them the actual medical needs that they need that's going to help them. Do you feel me?
Well, basically, most of those Europeans are so-called Black people. So yes, ourselves, man.
Real talk. I just said they were Europeans. I didn't say whether they were Black or white.
Yeah, but you're saying my people, like you might have that
I didn't
genealogy.
Say your people.
No, what I'm saying is you said they stood by and moved all, our Aboriginal, but you might have that genealogy too in you.
When I say my people, I'm talking about the people that was done to on my land here in America. And a lot of those people. Let me comment. Let me finish comment, please. We're taking turns. We're not cutting each other off. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of those people are some of my people. I got relatives that are incarcerated right now. I got cousins that are incarcerated right now. All right. And yes, if you was to talk about the mindset of my relatives who are incarcerated, they have a mindset, which you might call a jail mind, a prison mind. That mindset and that prison mind was done not only by the prison system, but also done by the system in which we live in, and the system that created what is called a ghetto. The system created the ghetto. My people didn't create the ghetto. When I say my people, I'm talking about my relatives. My relatives. You feel me? Ramiro?
Yeah,
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I didn't come here to argue. You know that, man.
Well, ain't no argument. Ain't nobody arguing. I don't take nothing personal. This is an open discussion.
Well, I'm barely talking, so I'm not.
Well, no, you were talking. We're taking turns. Don't talk over me. I'm not going to talk over you. When you talk, I'm gonna listen to you.
Oh, okay, I get it.
When you talk, I'm gonna listen to you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I get it, man. I didn't know you were like this, man. But
you didn't know I was like what, my brother?
I'm not even cutting over you. I'm barely talking, man.
Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Honestly, like people tell you, you're the one who kind of cuts me off. I'm like still talking most of the time, and I just let you. I just be quiet. Man. So I'm being respectful, man.
If you offended, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend you. Like I said, this is not about social disorder. This is about us having an open discussion.
All right. So I mean,
if my opinion and my position is different, is different than yours, I can respectfully disagree with you, and I believe you can do the same with me.
Well, I'm just going off historical facts, man. I'm not, what we think is opinions that's what I'm saying. I respect your opinions, man. What I'm trying to say, there's a historical fact that we kind of like, there's a whole thing we leave out when we're talking about these things, man. And it's, we try to blend, like it comes to the fact where, we start separating ourselves from, the reality is, it's like, for a lot of the people in America, so-called black people, it would be like, half the family did what you're saying, and then the other half were here. And a lot of time it wasn't evil and bad, or a lot of time the bad happened here, and it wasn't just European. But yeah, we know what happened when Europeans came. I mean, that's the obvious. But we didn't know. We always assumed these were all white people.
Again, I'm not looking at color. I agree with you, my brother. I've done the research just like you do, and you've helped me with a lot of the research that I've done. You have helped me with a lot of research that I've done. I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about culture. The people that we're talking about right now are people who have a culture that's different from the indigenous people of North America. Do you feel me? That's why they created black codes. What? To kind of X out the indigenous people's way of living. Do you feel me?
They created the black codes for the Sephardic Jews first.
Regardless of who they did it for first, the people that it affected the most were the indigenous people of this land.
Eventually, yeah, anybody titled black or Negro. Yeah.
I don't care about the Sephardic Jews. You know why? Because I'm not a Sephardic Jew. Now, I have learned a lot about the Sephardic Jew because of you.
How do you know you don't have your whole genealogy done, like all your lines, like every single line?
I've done my genealogy so far up to 1850, and I'm still doing some.
But that's one. How many lines?
Okay, I'm still doing. You got all yours line covered too, my brother?
Most of them, not all of them, but
all right. Well, then, so we both.
But what I'm saying is,
I won't say both in the same boat.
But listen. Let me speak on this one. Give me at least a minute or two. All right. So, I'm not saying I'm absolutely 100% anything though. That's the thing. You just said you're not Sephardic at all. You just made a clear, like an absolute statement. That's what I'm saying. How do you know if you don't have your whole genealogy done?
Well, this is what I know about me, okay? What I know about me is what my mother and my grandmother and my great-grandmother has passed down to me, all right? I have oral tradition in my family. I don't know what you got in your, let me finish. I don't know what you got in your family, but what's in my family, we have oral tradition, okay? And in my family, none of the women messed with nobody other than Indians on my mama's side of the family. On my father's side of the family, that's another story. But when I spoke to my father, and I knew my grandfather, I knew my grandmother before she passed away just a couple years ago. And I also got a chance, and I knew my great grandmother before she passed away as well. And all my grandparents were above 90 years old when they passed. My grandfather as well. So I'm telling you, I got first, second, and third hand information, and I've done my own paper trail research on my own family tree.
Okay, so we got thousands of grandparents, and I do genealogy. So whenever you want to complete it, just let me know.
This is not an argument about what's up. This is about. Did you asked me if I had my whole entire family tree basically searched, and I told you no. I told you what I had.
Okay,
and
that's being honest.
You,
so you
and
can't.
I asked you,
So
and
you
I
can't
asked
say
you,
you're
did
not
you have your
Sephardic.
I asked you, did you have your entire family tree searched? And you said no either. So we both in the same boat, my brother.
But I'm not saying I'm not this or that. I'm not the one saying I'm not this.
The only thing I can speak to is what my mother and my great grandmother and my great grandmother had passed down. I hold that up.
Well,
now when I do my while I'm doing my family tree, I have not stopped at 1850. I'm still doing my research on my family tree. Now, if I run it so far, I ain't ran into nothing but Indians from
That's
today.
Fine,
Let me finish.
That's
finish.
Fine, man. That's fine. Don't worry.
Okay,
you don't
wonderful.
Have to
Can I
prove
finish though?
That's fine.
So you can totally understand me, so
man.
you know who you're talking to.
I'll believe you, man. Okay, that's okay. That's fine.
Well, you take my word at it, my brother. I take your word at what you said about if I was to ask you about your family tree.
I don't say I'm absolute anything. I don't give you a say I'm a
okay. Well, maybe you might. Maybe you're not. I don't know what you mixed with. I know. I believe that you're a man of truth, though.
I don't know why you're angry.
I'm not angry at all. Stop saying. Ask me.
It rattles you up a little bit.
I'm not angry at all, and you don't rattle me at all. This is an open discussion.
It's not really because every time I try to tell you kind of like. You know.
No, you basically don't know how to sit down and just listen. You just want to do all the talking, obviously.
I've been listening, man. I
can't
believe you're doing this to me, JC, man. I came to your show because why, man? Tell everybody why I came on your show.
You came on my show to support my platform.
Why though? Did I contact you, man?
Excuse me?
Did I contact you?
No, I contacted you.
All right. So
because you owe me one. You owed me one anyway.
I owe you?
Yeah, because I supported your platform. The last time we discussed, you was supposed to support my platform, and you told me you was going to do it, but you was too busy.
I don't do things because I owe people things. I do because
look, you told me you was going to do me.
Hold on,
you
JC.
told me.
JC, you're being childish right now.
No, I'm not being childish. If you're gonna talk open about it, then be honest about it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm leaving, man. This is silly.
Well,
man.
That's your decision, my brother.
Man.
That's your decision.
Silly,
you're making
man.
This out to be something that is not, brother Kuramiro.
No, you're the one doing that, man. You're not listening.
You're
man.
doing that.
You just said that I don't listen. You gotta take your own advice, man.
You're telling me that I'm not letting you talk, and you're talking right now.
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard you. I heard you, man.
It sounds like to me you're a little pissed off because I told you I'm Cherokee and Choctaw Indian.
Oh, well, you want to put words in my mouth? You want to put words in my mouth now? So
then what are you flustered about?
Well, you're being right now childish and disrespectful.
How? How am I being disrespectful? How?
All right. Let me talk. You're asking me.
Go ahead.
Give me at least 2-3 minutes, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now, first of all, I don't do things because I owe people things. I do it because I want to out of my heart, man.
Yes,
sir. Contacted me. We've been talking. How long? How many months?
About over a year. About a year.
Okay. Thank you. So, I never knew that you would get all rattled up when I'm, I base my things based on what I've studied and researched, man. And I do 3 genealogies a week, man. I'm finding Sephardics and Moors everywhere, man. I'm just trying to tell you, like, the original colonists were Sephardic Jews and Moors, man. They weren't English, they weren't French. That's what they called them. All right. They came as French, they came as English. It's heavily in the blood. When I did a video recently when they're talking about mulattoes.
I saw your videos. I saw it.
Well, you gotta really, when they talking about mulattoes, most early accounts they meant a blackamoor with any other nation. And then when it got here, blackamoors with the Indians. That's what they were calling mulattoes. A lot of the time, they just said, you know what? Let's just call the Indians mulattoes too. Just everybody, eventually. But in the 1500s, 1600s, that's what they were calling mulatto. And we know that these people came and assimilated, joined, with the tribes. A lot of them got left behind, and Roanoke, all these things. Those were all black folks. All the soldiers that Hernandez de Soto brought, those were all black folks. The Allion expedition, South Carolina, these people got left behind. Hundreds of people, Moors, Sephardic Jews, Caribs too, that they brought up, Taínos, that they eventually called all Negroes. These weren't all just from here, not everybody, so that's all I'm saying.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
And I said, when you want to help, if you need any help with your genealogy, because we got to embrace all our lines. We got to stop that, I'm more this, I'm more that. We have more than one grandmother. We have thousands of grandparents by our 8th to 10th generation.
That's true.
We don't know them all. So you can't say, I'm not this and I'm not that. And I don't care about this because you might be missing out on a history on a deep, very history and your ancestors. You know.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
The question is this. Say I found out doing my research in my genealogy, I bumped into on my father's side or my mother's side, because so far I haven't bumped into none of that. But say I ran into 5, 6, 7, 8 Sephardic relatives down the family tree that I didn't know was there. Is that going to take away from the fact that my grandmother raised me to this present day, and my grandmother laid down in her grave dressed up like a Cherokee? Is that going to change that? I'm just asking you.
No, and that's a whole different point.
Okay, I'm just wanting to make sure. I was just curious what you would say about that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, you know. But look, I enjoy all your research, man, and it's taught me a whole lot. So, yeah. I'm not when I talk about.
I mean, Cherokee is a very generalized term.
I understand that. But I understand that there were I understand there were 14 bands and 14 clans within the Cherokee. I also understand that the Cherokee has been corrupted very much by European or Eurocentric influence, from their language to their customs. I know all that. So I know what's up with my stuff, bro. And I already know who I am, and I know what clan I'm from too. So, but yeah, I've heard that with you. I've heard that from many people. So, but I already know who I am, and I know where I'm from. So that's what matters to me. Just like you live in Costa Rica and you know where you're from.
Yep. I got
real talk.
And I'm doing more deeper because Costa Rica don't really.
You know what matters? You know what though? What matters to you is what your grandmother and your great grandmother and your great grandmother. That all matters to you too, though. You're not going to X none of that out.
Yep. I'm embracing all my life.
Regardless of what you learn in history,
I'm open.
How far back you go in history, it ain't gonna change what you know today. As far as the culture of what you know today and what's been rooted in you as a Costa Rican today, that's not gonna change.
Yes, and I'm open to learn more.
That's a good thing. We all should be open to that. I'm open to learning too. That's why I'm still researching and studying. That's why I listen to you. That's why I watch your videos.
But you gotta really.
That's why a lot of the PDF files I got, a lot of the PDF file books I got is because of you. So, and I thank you for that, my brother. I thank you for that. Why I didn't have my queen make you that beautiful necklace because I didn't respect you.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful.
So you see, I'm wearing one right now. See, on my queen's work. Yeah, I didn't have her make that because I don't respect you. I respect what you do.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of people it happens all the time, man. Don't worry, man. The same personal. I just I don't deal with this, the main reason I don't go on platforms because of this, man. And until you question somebody's belief or what they really believe, that's when you see people are really real about how they feel about you. You know what I mean?
Real talk.
All right. So I mean, it's just what it is for me, man. That's how it is, man. And it's not towards you, man. It's just like, we just gotta keep digging, man. We never stop learning, man.
Real talk.
Right. And real talk. Don't separate me because I'm way over here in Costa Rica, man.
Well, look, I said at the beginning of my show. If you ever was in Cali, I would love to meet you and I open my home to you, and I mean that, man. You feel me? Now you're right. I don't really know you. All I know is what I see.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, now I'm gonna be honest with you because I'm a real person, man. That's why I'm confused. That's why I'm shocked. That's why I'm shocked. Like, what was going on, man? Because you invited me here, you send me this, and I go on, and then you're like, it's like, I feel like you're thinking I'm attacking you or trying to question you.
No. I know. Look, number one, I want you to understand. I want you to know, learn this about me. If you don't know this about anybody who takes an opposition in other words, if we don't agree, I can agree that we disagree. I respect your people's, because you know what? 90% of what you be dropping on your documentaries, 90%, if not more than 90%, I vibe with. So any 5% of what we what we don't agree on. That I don't care about what we don't agree on. I care about what we do agree on. You feel me?
All my videos kind of related, so that's why I laugh.
Look, if I came off foul to you in any way, I want you to know I'm right here on the live, and I'm saying I apologize because I respect you, my brother. I got nothing but love for you, man. Nothing but love for you. You feel me? I told you.
Carl wants to know. Carl wants to know how you can get the necklace. How can people?
Oh, you look, email me at Mr. Black.
Put it on the chat. Put it on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me see. But yeah, man, I love what you do, man, and the spirit that I get from you when we talk, man. Look, man, I like to say, I know I come across abrasive. That's just my spirit, and I've been trying to work on that. But if I came up rubbed you the wrong way, I apologize, man. I got nothing but love for you, man. Nothing but respect for you. Even if we don't agree on something, I don't care about what we don't agree on. I care about that we agree on 90% of the history and truth.
That's the difference between me and you. I kind of care more of what we don't agree on. I want to see why, and because that's going to bring us more closer. You know, we're going to come to a better once we talk that out. Like, what is it you don't agree with exactly?
What I don't agree with you, I haven't ran into anything I don't agree with. I agree with everything. Everything you say, I agree with. I just think that with the misconception that happened just a little while ago is, like I say, I come across abrasive, and sometimes that can be taken the wrong way, and that's why I'm apologizing, because I know I come across abrasive. And I know you don't have that. You don't come across that way. You've never had that type of spirit, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I learn from you, from your humility. I have to learn from. I need to learn to be more humble, and you know, because I'm a very aggressive, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of Negroes out here. They're worse than me. You feel me? They worse than me and don't see themselves. You feel me?
Yeah, man. It's just like I said, you know, it's just like it happens. It's a daily thing for me, man. You know?
So that's what I'm saying. I don't want you to take me the wrong way, bro. Remember, I got you right. I reached out to you because I wanted your wisdom. I wanted your insight. I wanted you on my show, man, because I respect what you do, man.
Well, that's so before I leave, I want to leave some of the wisdom, all right, that I've come across, that I've learned on my journey, you know, that I've shown facts over, you know. And I just want you to know that we got to stop pointing the finger at people and stuff. And we got to really, really, really finish our genealogy. There's so many different lines. There's such a deep history, even with your grandma Cherokee. Even if you go farther than her, you might find out something about her. Trust me. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And we got to, doesn't matter, because it's all our people, man, anciently. A lot of them are our people just coming back home. And you know, what they did is whether they had the disease at the time, yeah, man, they were over there for a while. You know, they weren't living with the Great Spirit. We were living with the Great Spirit longer. You know, so, you know, they might have more wetico than what was here, you know, but what I'm trying to say is, you know, there's always room for learning. You know, these Europeans were black folks. A lot of them are not evil. A lot of them weren't evil. They just came because they were indentured servants. They were being persecuted over there. And unfortunately, a lot of them made the wrong decisions because they stick to their own people. And at the same time, we're hurting Indians, who most of the time eventually became family anyways. It's just like you guys got grouped together, you know, and here we are today. And now we're just trying to find somebody to blame and stuff. And it's just like, you know, you gotta get past that and just really know thyself, man. Really know thyself. And yeah, I'm not gonna take it personal. And thanks for inviting me, man.
And look, and I hope we can do some things in the future. And maybe we need to, you know, I really wanted to contact you before this show even started, you know, but it's hard. You know, you're a busy man, and I don't want to interrupt, you know, your thing. Like you said, you deal with a lot of people. We don't have any personal relationship, so there's no commitment to me. You feel me? So, you know, but I do have your number. I ain't forgot it. I still got your number and your email address, but maybe we need to, talk on off the air. You feel me? I like to get, and talk because I like, I love what you do. I love your work and I love your humility. You feel me? And you're right. We got to stop blaming people. We got to look inward. I always say we got to look at ourselves first. I learned I had to look at me first before I look at anybody else. I got to look at myself. If I'm going to talk about people who have a communication problem or a disorder, which is I say today we have a communication disorder. We have a psychological disorder. Many so-called Black Americans have it and don't even know they got it. It starts with me looking at me. I had to learn that I have a communication problem, and it starts in my family. My family communicate the wrong way. They argue, they fight, they yell, they cuss each other out. Before it comes into a sit-down resolution, it's everybody biting at each other, fighting at each other. And so when you talk about wetico is throughout the so-called black community, and for them to come up with that term that they labeled towards Europeans, obviously wetico had to have been here on this land in some of our people. So I agree with brother. When I think about just looking at it from a holistic perspective, that term had to have been labeled on some of our people here, obviously, before Europeans got here. You feel me? And so I agree with you, brother. We got to look at ourselves. We got to look at our own family, look at our family tree, and we got to look at everything from a holistic perspective. But I will say this much. No matter what you learn about your past, it ain't going to change about what you've learned that's true about yourself within the present. And so my grandmother and my great-grandmother and my great-grandmother, knowing themselves as Cherokee and Choctaw Indians, that don't take away from that. That won't take away from the fact that I'm an American Aborigine. That's, I don't care how many Sephardic Jews, Moors, if I find any in my family tree, and I ain't found none yet. And I'm not saying I'm not going to find any. I'm just saying I haven't found none yet. So I'm open to it. I'm open to the perspective. You feel me? And to me, it does matter where you come from and who you are. If you come from the stars or if you come across the oceans, it matters where you come from and where your ancestors stationaried themselves. That's where that culture grew out from. So that's what I'm all about. That being said, I thank you for coming, my brother. And so I got to go. I got to end this on some type of note. And the note I'm going to end it on, as I always say, let me close this off right here. Okay. Look like brother Kuramiro has dismissed himself. I enjoyed his company, even though conversation got a little heated a little bit there. And he thought look, there's one thing I can say about so-called Black folks. We need to learn how to talk to each other. We got to learn how to communicate with each other. But at the same time, we can't run from each other. We got to stand together. We got to learn to stand together no matter what. You feel me? While we work through this thing together. You feel me? But we got to learn to stop hurting one another. And that's what I love. I want brother Kuramiro to come back. I want him to join me again. I want to join him on his platform because that's, I supported a couple of his platforms back in the day and joined his show. I'm not sure if you remember. I got I got copies of some of those shows on my computer. So, but I support the brother. I'm glad the brother showed up, man. And I hope he don't feel like he can't show up again because there was a little small misunderstanding. But I respect the brother and I love what he do. He put together some serious, in-depth historical documentaries, man, on history that is not being talked about. And he's caused me to do, expand my research. I give much love to the brother. He caused me to expand my research. So I'm not too much. Let me see. I see people over here in the chat. Let me see. So I appreciate everybody who joined me. I appreciate everybody who showed up. As the beginning of this show, my whole point of doing this was to talk about, how we need to be aware of mental disorders. This is the reason why we can't unify. That's the reason why that was going on between me and that brother for a minute there. He thought I was mad at him, or I wasn't mad at him. I wasn't angry. I saw that maybe me and him had a discrepancy, and I don't disagree. I mean, come to find out, we don't agree. We don't disagree on anything. I agree with everything he's talking about. It shouldn't be about color. It should be about culture. These people came over here and destroyed our culture. You feel me? And the people who came over here, they weren't not just white in color. They were different complected people, from white to brown to dark-skinned Europeans who came over. And he's right. Not all the Europeans came over here to destroy our culture. Some of them came over here just to live. Some of them were brought over here slaves and servants. Some of them were brought over here and dropped off over here. But when I talk about the system, I'm talking about those who support the system. And I know those who support the system are not just people who are white, and they're not just people who are European. They're all types of people, but it's still under a Eurocentric agenda, which is still tied to those in Europe. So I'm not sure what he knows as far as his political perspective. Maybe that's another discussion we can have for another time, because when you tie politics to history, you feel me? So I've seen him talk about history, doing a good job, but I haven't seen him tie politics to history. Maybe I missed that one, you know. But other, you know, Hakeem Hudson said, I ain't got no facts. What facts you looking for, bruh? I'm not trying to unify any nuts. I'm trying to make us aware that there's a social dysfunction in the so-called black community, and this is the reason why this is the reason why a lot of American Aborigines having a hard time. We having a hard time unifying on any front. And we have to recognize that. And Brother Kuramiro made a good point. You know, I even have to be aware of my social dysfunction. That's why I was apologizing to the brother, because I had nothing negative at heart with our discussion. I enjoyed talking with him the whole time. Even if I disagreed with him, I would still enjoy talking with the brother. And that's how we should be able to talk. We should be able to talk with each other. Even if we don't agree with each other, we should be able to communicate. That's what I'm talking about. Social dysfunction that's going on in the so-called black community. You feel me? AKA, we really American Aborigines, those of us who are American Aborigines. I'm not talking about everybody I'm not saying everybody over here is an American Aborigine. Just because you my skin don't mean you my kin. Do you feel me? So, you are the poster child. Oh, wow. You know what? It's all good. I'm glad you just on the chat. That's all good, because I don't think you want to have a conversation about this, because it didn't sound like to me all you would be doing is talking accusations yourself, my brother. And it sounds like to me you're not trying to talk unification. Where's your platform at? Where are you talking unification at? Huh? It's all good. If you don't feel me, then you shouldn't be on my platform. What you on my platform for? Huh? If you don't feel me, you shouldn't be on my platform, Akeem. It's all good. I have got a problem. I'm not expecting everybody to feel me. I don't do what I do for everybody to feel me. I do what I do because I'm trying to talk to those who can feel me. You feel me? So it's all gravy. It's all good. I don't expect everybody to feel me. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. And like I say, I can agree with somebody even if they don't agree with me. I can agree with people. Just because we don't agree don't mean we can't talk. Just because we don't agree don't mean we can't communicate. That's what I'm talking about. Indians have to come together. I agree. I totally agree. And I agree with that too. Unity is overrated. I totally agree. I agree. Unity is a little bit overrated, but we still got to come together as a people. Just because we still got to come together as a people though, man. You feel me? We still got to try to work together and get it together. You feel me? It's all gravy and potatoes. On that note, I got to go, man. I ain't got time to be sitting on here constantly talking, man. I got things to do, got things to go. Feel me? You feel me? Somebody else is commenting. Oh, let me turn this down then. My bad. I ain't have my headset. Let me turn it down. Obviously, too loud. My bad. Okay. All right, but look, I gotta go, man. I had a good time. I enjoyed talking with brother. I'm glad he came on, and we had a good discussion, and he brought out some good points. And the good points is that we need to not look at color. We got to look at culture. I agree with him on that. That's what it's all about. It's all about culture. You feel me? And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about culture. It's all good. So that being said, I'm going to turn the music back on, and I'll be back next Sunday dropping nothing. Yeah, I will be back. I will be back dropping nothing but the raw and uncut. You going to join me? You can join me next week too. Next Sunday. I'll be back Sunday. Talking about something else, another topic or something. I got to go, man. I got to go. So, on that note, as always, as I always say, may the great mother bring us together under the wings of her peace. I love chicken, so love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll be back maybe next Sunday or the Sunday after that. I don't know, probably doing a continuation. I didn't want to just talk about wetico, but I ran into that during my studies, and that's the reason why I brought it up. Wetico, what that meant, you feel me? And I might just continue that next Sunday or the week after and connect it to more of what we need to do to unify as a people. What did the Black Panthers have? What did they do and how did they do it? Because they had it going on for a minute. Do you feel me? So I'm going to talk about that. Other than that, I got to go. Do you feel me? I'm still here, though, people. But I got to go. So see me next Sunday. I'm out. One love. May the great mother bring us together under her peace and her wings. One love. I got to go. Outie.
This is the raw uncut.